The number one thing I'm doing different than my parents is I'm actually living my life. I'm living my life. My mom, as I mentioned, passed in 97, but before she passed, a couple of years before she passed, she had a stroke. And I remember her, um, even before she had the stroke, I told you how she started dating. My mom didn't date for like 10 years waiting for my dad, like nothing. And then when she finally started to date, good old Joe, she gets sick. Joe is gone, right? And he moves on in his life. But I remember her waking up out of that stroke and she was asking for her husband. And we're like, "You're not married." And she's like, "I have all these kids and I don't have anybody to love me." That's
the joy of children laughing around you. These are the makings of you. It is true, the makings of you.
What's going on, beautiful people? It's your host, Mr. D713, better known as Drake with Everythang Culture. And we are back with another Makings of You. And this morning, this afternoon, this evening, we're happy to introduce Kira with Moms and Martinis. Kira, how you doing tonight?
I am fantastic, magnanimous. Is that how you say it? Yep, all of the above. And as the Southerners say, I am truly blessed and highly favored. How you doing?
I am swell. Let me tell you that I am, as well as blessed. I am superb. We're using SAT words in this thing, and bringing our Southern roots and culture into it as well. I absolutely appreciate that.
Yeah.
But thank you for joining us. Seriously, this is going to be a pleasure. So
I'm excited.
I met Moms and Martinis or Kira, maybe a year or so ago. I know we run in the same circles, in this podcast world. And I remember being on Twitter Spaces, having conversations with you, maybe on Clubhouse, perhaps. I think Clubhouse maybe in the first place.
In the beginning, when COVID and Clubhouse was like the thing. Yeah.
The thing, right. Woo. Yeah. But shout out to Clubhouse. But either way, I just love your perspective on life and experience as well as your podcast. And we kept in touch more on TikTok. And we're gonna have a conversation in the future that I'm looking forward to getting into. But with Everythang Culture, we got to get to know you first. So you've listened to the Makings of You before. So you gotta know what you're getting into. All right. So, but always, if you need to take a little bit of time, it's all good. This is your episode. So we rocking with Kira. All right.
All right.
So Kira, how would you define yourself?
I am a beautiful soul, hopeless romantic. I'm a change agent. I am a ball of energy. I am light. That's who I am. I don't think there are words to really surmise who I am. You can't really box me in. I'm a little bit of hood. I'm hella professional. I am a nurturer. I'm just all of the above. I am. That's what I say. I am that I am. That's who I am. So anything that you think me to be or how you have experienced me, that's who I am.
Love it. Love it. Love it. What cultures do you represent?
Blackity black, and all black. African American. Of course, as growing up, people say, "Oh, I have Native American in my family." Like that is the thing. But I honestly do. I don't know a lot about it. I do have a cousin that lives on a reservation, and she's active into it. My father is really into heritage and tracking the lineage and all of that, so he can tell you more than I could. I did do some research and I was able to go back to the mid 1800s and find out some information, but I don't know a lot about it to fully represent it. But my father always talks about Grandma Era with her long white hair and sends me the picture. So I have it. Don't start asking me why or who and what tribe and all of that. I don't know. So I represent the Black folks from Atlanta, Georgia. I'm Black. Okay.
We love it. We love it. So, how would you describe your culture?
My culture, when I think about that, my immediate thought goes to my mom's side of the family. That's who I grew up with. That's who I'm around now. And we are everything ATL. Go teeth, bumping music, house party, not the suburbs of Atlanta. We are Atlanta. Okay. That's who we are. The hood is of the hood. So that's what I would describe it. So the cookouts, the late at night, the fussing, the fight, any stereotypical Blackness that's usually portrayed and put out there, that's my culture. That's my people. That's who I came from. And that's what I'm comfortable with.
Love it. Love it. Do you mind sharing your age with us?
Here's the funny thing.
Hey, I'm a Southern, so I usually try to avoid that. But
No. I'll tell you my age, but if you know me, you know that I always lie about my age. I lie and I tell people I am older than what I am. Okay, so I'm 41, right? I already think I look good for 41. But it's just something about telling people, I like to add like 4 years. Some people tell me, they're like, how old are you? I'm like, I'm 45. I'll be 46 in March. It's just like, oh my God. Like, it's just something about it. That is my thing. I do it. I don't know when I started it, but that is like the running joke. Like everybody, I just lie. And sometimes I forget how old I am because I've lied so much about being older. It's weird. It's funny. And I just love people just like loving on me and telling me how good I look to be 46. Yes.
Share a little personal troll. I don't like trolls, but I do this little bit of a troll that I do on TikTok when they have those videos like guess my age. Every single time I'm picking the old age, no matter what. Like I'm just do it. Just here. We know how old you are. It says in your bio. We see it.
Right.
But do your thing. But you look, the black don't crack. For most parts, it doesn't. But I appreciate that.
Let's just try. Okay.
What is your sign?
I'm a Pisces. I'm a lover.
I
am all of the emotions. I feel everything. So I'm a Pisces.
All right. Water sign?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Kind of get a little bit of that. All right. How would you define your childhood and upbringing?
Typical Southern Bible Belt Christian household. My mother was an evangelist / missionary, and our life centered around it. I mean, we were in the church, in the church heavy. We had 2 services on Sunday, so Sunday morning, Sunday evening. That could be a feet washing service, communion, revival, churches, or we're going to different churches. Monday during the day, it was prayer at the church. Tuesday, I think, was our off day. Wednesday night Bible study. Thursday was missionary work. Friday night Bible study. So church. A lot of my childhood was centered around that. And the other part of my childhood was centered around the Boys and Girls Club. I am a product of Warren Boys and Girls Club in Atlanta, Georgia, Boulevard, stand up. Okay. So that's where a lot of my childhood and memories and really the makings of Kira were birthed from those 2 places. So from church and the Boys and Girls Club.
That is beautiful. That's beautiful. So what do you, other than being the evangelist in the household, what were the roles of your parents?
Well, I grew up primarily with my mother. My parents separated when I was 1, 2, 3, 4, long before. So I grew up with my mother as the just sole person. My dad moved to Maryland, and that's where he resides now. So I would visit in the summer. My family, when I say my family, again, I'm referring to my maternal side. So my mom's side was ran by my grandmother, my mother, and my auntie, Aunt Marie. Those were the matriarchs. They held it down. And those were some mean, angry, money hungry women, baby. Let me tell you. I know you wasn't expecting it, but it's the truth, Ruth. And I talk about it now. Those women ran everything. They ran everything. And that is how they shaped me to be. And sometimes I feel a way about it because I don't want to be that way. I wish I were softer in a lot of ways. But they raised me to be independent and, out to get and all of those things. So that is what was around me, along with the elders in the church. But those were the people, I guess, my sounding board and my steering committee.
Wow. Love it. Trust me. Similarities around that. Let me tell you that. Do you have any siblings?
I do. Okay. So out of my mom's children, my mom had 6 children. I am 5 out of 6. 5th, right? 5th out of 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm the 6th. I'm the 5th.
Yeah.
Okay. You know how I go. Number 5. Okay. My father has children. 2 sisters passed away before I was even born. So I would say I was 3rd out of his 5 children. And then my father also remarried. So I know it's a lot, but overall, I am 7 out of 13 children. Right? So my placement varies. But I think overall, I'm a middle child.
Okay.
And it shows.
Absolutely understand. And thank you, by the way. So, how do you feel about your education in your life so far?
I'm still going. I'm in the graduate program, so I will finish next December to receive my master's in workforce development. I just completed my bachelor's this summer.
Congratulations.
Yes, thank you. And I have a personal goal to receive a PhD. It's for me. Education has played a big part in my life. However, the story of how my education kind of played out is still being written. I graduated with an above 4.0 grade point average, right? School has always been my jam. I wanted to be a teacher. I love the process of learning, and I love teaching people how to learn. I'm enthusiastic about it. It just comes to me naturally. I'm gifted in it, and I really, really enjoy it. And I do a lot of self-development in terms of taking courses, reading books, podcasts, going to listening to podcasts, going to workshops, seminars, conventions. Like, I do that proactively to continue to grow and thrive and learn. That's just what I do. No one has to go and tell me to do these things. But it was derailed. I've been in school a very, very long time. It's a double-edged sword because I've also professionally have been able to achieve a lot without having a formal education because of all of the other things that I do in terms of learning how to volunteer on professional boards and the art of networking and being self-taught in a lot of these things. So I always tell people I take my street hustle, right? So the stuff I learned how to finagle in the street, all that, and I applied to corporate America, and that's how I became a director with a high school diploma.
Tell them. Let them know.
That's my biggest flex.
Hey, but people need to hear it. Hey, this is the makings of Kira right here, y'all. Okay. Thank you. Seriously. And our next question, this actually taps into our future conversation. Mm-hmm. When did you have your first sense of responsibility?
I think it has always been given to me. Again, thinking about my upbringing and the women in my family. To provide some context, right? My mother married twice. She, straight out of high school, married a guy. He was in the military. She was a housewife. She raised her kids. They divorced. She married my dad, military, housewife. She raised her kids. My mother did not begin her life until she was 35, where she went to school to become a cosmetologist, and she became an entrepreneur. So from a very young age, I was groomed to take over her business. I can remember from the hair salon starting in the kitchen, and I had to do that, whether it was bringing towels or, getting the customers water. So I got older. I was answering the phone, doing the books, counting the money. I was groomed for that business. So I've always had this responsibility kind of handed to me, and I can't necessarily pinpoint exactly when that happened. And also for my mother's children, she has 4 older kids, and it's a 10-year gap, and then it's myself and my younger brother. And somehow along the way, and there's a lot more things into it, but my younger brother looks at me as his mother. So in turn, I've been responsible for him. He would get into a lot of stuff and trouble, and people like, I'm going to get my big brother. He would say, I'm going to get my big sister. And what am I doing in the house, minding my business, reading a book, my thing? I have a love affair with books, always have. And I have to go outside, beat up somebody, and come on back in the house. That's just, I've always been responsible for him, and always been responsible for everybody else and everything else. And it's made me who I am. And I don't like it. I'm learning to shed it. I don't like it. It's made me miserable.
Thank you. Wow. You hit that right now. Oh, I'm looking forward to this conversation we're going to have in the future. This is going to be so enlightening. So, what was your first job?
My mother's salon. That was my first job. And then my mother employed my aunt to do nails in the salon. And then my aunt hired me to do some stuff. So that was that. And then outside of my family, my mom didn't date until years later. Like, I never seen her now. And then she started dating this guy named Joe. Joe had his business with a nice fancy BMW, all of that. So Joe would pay me. I remember Joe. Joe paid me I can't remember what type of business it was, but I would have to print out something, advertisement, letters, bills, invoices or something, fold them, put them in the envelopes, seal the envelopes, stamp them, and address them, and address all the envelopes and take them to the post office. And so Joe paid me for that. So that's how I'm aging myself. There you go. Before all of the emails and all of that, where you get the wet sponge and you seal the envelopes up and did that. So that was that. And I think my corporate job, official first corporate job, was at TCBY in Riches Macy in Lenox Mall, where I got fired for giving away ice cream. Gave ice cream to the boy. He was so cute. He went to my school, didn't know the loss prevention manager was standing behind him. Then she came up and I was like, oh, you want to hook up too? Fired me on the spot. Shameful. Shout out to TCBY.
Was it? See, I didn't understand. She had a customer that was gonna come back. She really was a great saleswoman right there. Y'all missed out on her. All I'm saying. But it's all good. And you sound like you started as perhaps administrative assistant, coming in, maybe executive assistant, all I'm saying, the work you've been doing, I'm in HR. I know how to flip them titles around. I know how to boost them up. We feel you. Okay. How are you disciplined growing up?
Ooh.
I'm like,
this is a sore spot for me, because even as a kid, I would say that I was abused. And whenever I would say that, it would enrage everyone. I'm like, nah, Shawty just hit me with a broom. That is abuse, right? So yeah, any and everything. I used to say that my mom was a Bible-toting thug, legit. She was a missionary, but sis had hands. I remember.
Most of them do.
I remember one time we had moved into this house and we were hanging curtains. You know, you put your things up. And my sister called, was complaining about my brother. I don't know what it was. And my brother was like cursing. And my mom kept saying, don't curse, don't curse, don't curse. And he cursed. Only thing I know, the phone was on the coffee table. You can hear like yelling in the background. She told my younger brother and I, get in the car. The hammer that we were using to hang the curtains, she put it in her purse. We rolled over and she confronted my brother, and I'm going to leave it right there. So, how was I disciplined? That was my mama. So you can fill in the blank. Now, on the flip side of that, I know my people gonna be like, ooh, Kira, you done told all the building. And I always say I like to tell my business because I tell it best. Okay.
And that's why we do. That's why we do the makings of you, because nobody can tell Kira's story better than Kira. Now, if y'all want to come on the show and tell y'all perspective, y'all more than welcome. Holler at me. But this is Kira. This is the makings of Kira. So y'all make sure. Thank y'all for tuning in.
Yes, thank you. Now, I will say, growing up and still now being a bit of perfectionist because of fear of discipline, that I would discipline myself for things. So if there was a goal or an image or something that I really wanted and desired and I didn't do it, and I had like this pressure I would put on myself, I would punish myself. So if there was an assignment I had for homework and I got an 89 instead of a 100, or, you know, just then I would put myself on punishment. Like, no, you're watching too much TV, that type of thing. And that kind of just shaped me. Again, don't like it. And now I'm beginning to shed it. So the fear of not wanting to disappoint and also being taught to conform and hold images, I'm overly critical on myself. So even as a child, I would punish myself for a lot of things.
Wow. Thank you so much for sharing. So what was and what are your beliefs?
I believe that there is a higher power, something greater. I feel it and see it and experience it most when I'm in nature. I grew up Christian, non-denomination, you know, Father, Son, Holy Spirit, speaking in tongues, all of the above. That's how I grew up, shouting, Holy Ghost, feet washing, like.
And that was non-denominational?
Non-denominational. And we didn't celebrate holidays or anything. So when I tell people, it's like, are you Jehovah's Witness? I'm like, no, it wasn't Pentecostal or anything. It was non-denominational, where we was lay at the altar and tarry all night and do all that, right? So I went from that environment, and my mom passed in 97, and I moved with my dad, and my dad is a Methodist reverend. So imagine that, right? So between the politics of growing up, I guess, in that holiness environment, right, or Kojic, Church of God in Christ, and then going to the extremes of Methodist and understanding the politics there behind the Methodist Church, I fell out of love with religion. I have a problem with religion. I have a problem with spirituality. I don't have a problem with believing that there's a higher power. I do believe that some people need that type of structure in their life, and I support that. But for me, I know that there's something higher. However, I want to learn to connect in the way that's most relevant to me. And once I begin to learn to do that, that's when I begin to feel the presence of God. I thought I had it before, but when you kind of release yourself from all of that and then you really tap into what you believe it to be, it's a different experience. So I just say I'm spiritual.
Thank you. Who has been the biggest influence in your life?
My daddy. Shout out Pops. That's my boo. Hey, boo. That's what I tell him all the time. Hey, boo. That's my boo. My father, I call my father Baby Jesus because 1, he's a reverend. 2, his birthday is December 25th. And 3, whenever you ask him something, he give you this story. I'm like, hurry up with the parables, sir. But because of these parables, I would say that my father, for a very long time, I would say was the wisest man I know, right? Just everything. A lot of, in my working life, right, I am director of learning and development. So I facilitate and create a lot of training. And a lot of my training around leadership principle and servant leadership are based on the principles in those parables and those teachings that my father gave me. So my father is a huge influence in my life. And him telling me things at 16 that I thought was just, why does this matter? I use it to make money today. Right. So I love him. I love him dearly. And he has the most influence over my life.
Wow. Shout out to Pops. Much love.
Hey, boo.
I may have to reach out to him for the show. Okay. We might have to work something out or something. Okay. Could you recommend a book, a movie, and a television series?
See, this one was hard. I knew this one was coming. I don't know. Now, the book, because I'm a bookworm, the book that changed my life and it's been calling me to read it again is The Power of the Subconscious Mind by Joseph Murray. I know people talk about manifestation and all these things and willing it, but he really talks about it and drill down into it. So amazing book. Book changed my life. I read a few books that year that were life-changing for me. Movie. I'm a passive TV watcher. Let me put that out there. Like typically, people like the TV watching me. I'm one of those. I have my shows, that I watch, but I go through cycles of television and movies. And typically after I watch a movie or a TV show, I forget. Like I tell people, I forget, but I remember. So if you start talking about it, like, oh yeah, I remember, but I forget immediately. Read a book, I can tell you all details and the page number. So I'm gonna put that out there. That's my disclaimer, okay? So, TV show, no, movie.
Movie.
I don't know. I would say this one I'm gonna say. And I'm gonna tell you why. I'm gonna say Waiting to Exhale. And the reason why is my mom. I remember I told you how she was holding this. We didn't even listen to secular music. But Waiting to Exhale came out. And the way my mom played that movie over and over again and listened to that soundtrack, and it was the first time I ever heard her singing, and to hear this Christian woman singing Shoot, Shoot, Devil. And I'm like, what is it about this song? To go back and after have lived a life, divorced and all of the above, and watch that movie, I said, oh, Sister D was going through. So that's why I would say Waiting to Exhale. Okay.
I was playing that soundtrack yesterday.
It is amazing. It's amazing. So it has a whole new meaning. Like I want to take my friends and we need to fly to Arizona and have just a whole Waiting to Exhale sleepover at a resort with the outfits and everything. Like it's in my brain. It's going to come together. I'm the planner of the group. So that is coming. That is coming. I love stuff like that. Let's see. TV show. I can't choose just one, but I would say any late 80s, early 90s sitcom. Sanford and Son, Family, like any of that. Watch any of them. That was good TV. The Jeffersons, all of that. 227. Watch any of those. Pick one. That's what you need to watch.
I got to pick up. I suppose every Saturday I cover a different sitcom, and I got some in the chamber that y'all don't even know about. That I'm like, ooh, all of them wasn't that that uplifting into the community, but hey, it was out there though. But I love me some 227. Oh, shout out to the father on that show. Those are some really life-changing sitcoms, life-molding sitcoms, and I believe that sitcoms what it was meant to be in the first place. Even though it's situational comedies, but isn't that what sitcoms stand for?
I guess it sounds good to me.
But yeah, extremely dope and love Family Matters. Old Judy went up them stairs and never came back down. But if you can call 3 people to have a conversation with, whether they're being actual people you know, people you've met, people you've never met, or to actually someone fictional, who would you want to call?
I always call my 3 best friends. My 3 best friends, Oprah Winfrey, Simon Sinek, and Brene Brown. My friends, okay? Oprah, say what you want, but to see her come in, my dad knew Oprah growing up. My dad is from Nashville, Tennessee. So to come from that type of beginning to be who she is and still have like this curiosity about being and uncovering and shedding what was and guiding people through whatever that process is of finding out who they are, I admire that. On top of the acting credits and just everything she's been able to build and employ in the work, right? Say what you want to say. And I'm not even talking about nothing about her bank account with that. But say what you want to say. To come from that upbringing to who? Oprah Winfrey? Friend.
Oh, man.
You know what I mean? Friend. Simon Sinek. Love it. Another person who I use a lot in the training, starting with why. I just love the way that he talks about leadership and the developing of people and the investment of people in corporate spaces is something that I'm very passionate about, especially when people are wanting to be entrepreneurs. I call myself an entrepreneur, right? People are like, you want to be an entrepreneur, go out there? That's cool. That's not my ministry, right? Give me a corporate America job and I can work that. Okay. Flip it 3-4 ways. That's just where I get down. So I use Simon a lot for that. And Brene Brown, the scientist that studies hurt, vulnerability, and shame. Who doesn't love that? To be transparent in your own crap and own it and do it with a smile. That's my girl. Number 3.
Hey. You really didn't drop a lot of good people. I hope people listen to this. I hope you're sharing it with a friend. This is some good knowledge, great information, and I appreciate it. And once again, thank you again, Kira. And this is the makings of Kira with Everythang Culture. Y'all make sure to tune in. Okay. What has been an impactful moment in your life?
Ooh, so many. I'll go with the most recent. The most recent was leaving a job after 14 years and taking a leap of faith and starting over new. I'm 41, aka 46, and I've only had 4 jobs, careers, profession. Not the teenage TCBY and all of that, but I've only worked at 4 places. That's it. I go and I stay. However, that is not the world today. And that experience, being somewhere for so long, taught me so much about myself, so much about navigating those spaces. And it was a huge transition just all the way around. And I even went through a process of grief and no one understood because, it was during the time that people like, you leave these jobs, they don't appreciate you. I just started my current role October last year. So this is recent. People like, you should be happy. I was happy, right? I wanted to be a senior manager. I got a director. Oh, and I say director. Now I got a promotion. I'm a senior director, right? In less than a year. And I'm like, this place sees my worth. They're paying me way more than what I thought. The scope that I'm doing is just mind blowing. It checked all the boxes. And yet I'm grieving this place that caused me so much pain. And that's people it took me a while. It took me like 6 months. I grieved my job. But whenever I would share that with people, no one would get it. No one would get it.
Yeah, there's a whole conversation behind that right there. Mm-hmm. That's a culture of experience that people don't know. That when you work somewhere, especially when you build relationships with other people or relationships in it, I don't know if it was a nonprofit or corporate, but when you're going to a business and you really believe in the mission, what they're saying, or the day-to-day intricacies, and you make that sudden change, whether it's up to you or someone else, it's still a moment of, I invested a lot into this. So I absolutely understand.
Yeah.
So, you got me thinking I've only been at 3. I don't know. Okay, maybe.
That's rare. I tell people, they be like, what?
I be liking my job for the most. The current one, let me tell you that. But, but thank you. That's a real thank you. That is a great perspective. I don't think a lot of people think of or consider or not just even know they may be feeling that or not. What's your theme song?
Knock If You Buck. Everybody know that. That is my theme song. And that track plays in my head in every situation. If you know me, you know that Kira's theme song is Knock If You Buck. And I mean that. And I mean that on both ends, even for me. So if you want something, go get it.
Love it.
Right? Buck. Do it. Corporate space, at home, in the driveway, in the hood, don't matter. You buck, go for it. And you're going to get everything you earn.
There got to be a certain way that you buck in that corporate space. You know, when keeping it real go wrong, trust me.
Yes. And that's what I'll say. It's when I say Knock If You Buck, I know people think it like to be this, go off things. But even like you're saying, corporate spaces go out. I call people out all the time in the most professional way. I hold people accountable in spaces, right? That's how Knock If You Buck, right? Don't have a problem with calling you out. Thank you so much, Drake, for sharing that idea that we talked about. You bucked, okay? I'm going to call you out on it. And if we outside, that's another one. It just depends. But just know when I say Knock If You Buck is if you're going to try something, then do it. And then be prepared for the consequences that come with it. That's good or bad. And sometimes people hear the word consequence and they automatically think negative. There are good consequences as well. So even with me, as I mentioned, leaving and getting a new job, that was a Knock If You Buck moment. I'm like, it's go big, go home. Right? This me telling myself, like, Knock If You Buck, go for it. Stop doubting it, right? Stop choosing this. Where's your confidence? Go for it. Who? And that's how I always tell people, like, Knock If You Buck. I also have like this saying in my brain that I go by. I don't like no. Whenever someone tells me no, I never take it as N-O. It's K-N-O-W. Who don't I know? What don't I know? What do you need to know? But never tell me no. No? No? No. That doesn't fly with me. Because if you're telling me no, what don't I know? Did I not know enough information? Who do I need to know? What don't you know about me? Like, what is it? So that's where my Knock If You Buck. Who are you? Why are you so grand and special that I can't have it too? What? Knock If You Buck. Go ahead. Try.
See, my mentality, I usually try to start off, the love isn't into love. But I don't know, over the past couple years, it's been that get on my level. Mm-hmm. And when that plays and that's going on, like, I don't, it's a different feeling. And then once again, it's really to that point of y'all really not seeing what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. And like, once again, you can try, but I want you to try because I'm ahead of that, but I want you to catch up. That's what I'm saying. But you're probably not, but you may, but you're probably not, but I'm moving forward. I can focus on me.
No, that's one of them feel good too. That's one of them ones that really get me going. Like, yeah, get on my level. What? Yes.
I can't be in the car with that one. I do the foot get heavy. You know what I mean? I ain't get a little. I'm a responsible adult now. Okay, let's say that. Okay, let's just talk. You coming right along with everything. We past halftime and things. And once again, y'all, this is the makings of Kira with Everythang culture. Oh man. How do you define joy?
Oh, joy. Oh, great joy. Joy down in my soul. Unspeakable joy. Joy, it's a feeling. It's not attached to anything. It's a sense of euphoria. It's bliss, right? It is just the feeling of knowing and being present and being content and feeling the overwhelming love. Like, it's so much peace that overflows and just first, that's joy. All right. At least for me. And because of that, I talk a lot about I do have a joy jar. So in moments where I'm feeling joyful, I write it down on a little piece of paper and I put it in a mason jar. The mason jar is upstairs. It's on my nightstand. So when times are really dark and bleak for me, I go to my joy jar and I remember the things that gave me joy. And I try to recall it from a memory. So I close my eyes and I meditate on it and I try to remember it, right? All of these things. And if that doesn't work, then I know that in these moments I found joy. So I'll go and try to do those things so I can replicate that feeling to kind of get me out of my mood. So joy, a joy jar. And over the years, I've learned that the things that bring me joy rarely cost me money. So, joy.
Love it. Love it. Love it. What privileges do you benefit from?
I benefit from being an educated woman. I benefit from being a woman. I benefit from being a homeowner. I benefit because my children were born to a married mother and father, right? My kids have the same mother and father. I benefit from a lot of things. Yeah, I can keep going. I benefit from it.
Love it. Love it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You know, that's going to go into our episode too. We will talk about that. We'll talk about that. All right. And what areas in your life do you need to heal?
Ooh. Well, Letitia, can we call Ayala? Can we add a fourth person I can call? Ayala, my auntie. I need to heal. That's a tough one. And normally I'm not speechless. I can come with him.
Hey, I recognize. I'm like, and you hit deep too. I'm appreciating this. But welcome to Everythang culture. Welcome to the making.
Yes, because this is one that the reason for my pause is because I am actively working through. I have been experiencing and getting to know and cozying up to the emotion of anger lately. I have not been angry since about 2010. Yes, I get upset and, things make, all of those things. But lately I've been angry. And a lot of my anger I'm finding is coming from the things I need to heal from. So not setting time boundaries where people are disrespectful of my time, for basically the behaviors that I've encouraged and allowed for so long, right? Intellectual things, people come and steal your ideas and and I'm pissed off. Like I'm angry over it. Like, why? It's like the no regard for me as a person, the looking through. It's just, I need to heal from it so that I can better navigate it and get from it. But right now, I'm just so angry. I mean, the list goes on and on. My time, my resources, my emotional, just everything. I need to heal. I can't even put it all into words. I can just say that I know I need to heal. I know that I have a bit of a bitter heart right now, cold heart right now. But it still doesn't take away my capacity to love. And that's the beautiful thing about Kira. You know what I mean? I call myself the wounded warrior. Like, I'm the wounded healer. And I'm working through my mess. So it's a lot I need to heal from. And as I continue to work through this new thing and become friends with my anger, when I figure all that out, I'll come back and let you know.
And we appreciate that. Greatly do. You're going through your Bruce Banner moment at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
All right. You got to get to know the Hulk a little bit more.
Yeah.
I absolutely understand that. Trust me, when you're talking about the ideas and everything you were saying, I like. You mean the disrespect? That's all I'm looking at. It's the overall disrespect. But hey, we support you. If I can send you a hug, I absolutely would. Let me tell you that.
Mm-hmm.
Mm. So when did you realize you were different?
I never realized everyone else told me I was. That made me feel awkward. I've always been comfortable with who I am. I've always been sure of who I am. I always knew who I was and what I was created to do and who I wanted to be. It was the voices, the opinion, direction of others that steered me away from that. And that's who I'm longing and running back to. I knew I was different because people told me I was different. They told me I thought different, especially my family. You're so this and you're so that and you're to this and to that. And I'm like, well, hell, I'm just being me. You know what I mean? And I began to think those things were wrong. So I learned to, again, put on fronts and facade and conform. Like I'm very good at that. I can do that easily. Wow. My mom always say, you put on your lipstick and your earrings, you never look like what you're going through. So I was always told that I was different.
Is that a Southern saying? I've heard that for mostly women from the South, I would say.
Yeah, it is.
But it meant men too, if you look good, you feel good. That mindset of appearance matters.
But this is more so of, you got to put on airs and fronts and, keep your business and your house and all of that. But that's how people learn how to suffer in silence. But I'm not here for this today. But I knew I was different. It just, even I remember after my mom passed and I went to DC or Maryland, I never thought about the way I spoke until I said something. Everyone thought I was like, say it again, you talk different. It's just always, people have always pointed out how I'm different. I go into spaces, it's like, oh, you're so this and that. And I'm just like, I'm just being me. So I never thought I was different. Everybody else telling me I'm different. Hopefully that makes sense.
It makes sense to me. It ain't gonna make sense to a lot of other people. And everything you're saying, but you growing up and with your experience you having, you should already know it ain't gonna make sense to a lot of other people too.
Yeah.
But that's why this is the makings of Kira.
Hey.
You feel me? This ain't the makings of nobody else but you. All right. And thank you once again. So this question is always a little convoluted. So hopefully I'm asking it correctly. So what traditions do your culture hold when someone passes away?
Okay. So when I'm thinking of my culture, I'm going to answer this in terms of my family. Okay. So, and this is sad. And this is something else that I've been angry about in going off in the family group chat over. The culture when someone passed is one, for them to call one of three people, which I'm one of the three. Two, for us to discover that their affairs are not in order after I have promised them, or not even promised, but after I have fussed about them about getting your affairs in order. Mm-hmm. Followed by the fish fry. Okay. Mm-hmm. Next. And the cash apps and the GoFundMe, all of the stress and going to the church that you haven't visited since you were 12 and all of the things. And, so that's the culture. And after we get all that together, we're going to get some t-shirts. Okay. We're going to turn up the day before. We're going to go to the wake. We're going to come after the wake. We're going to turn up afterwards. Then the next day, it's going to be some drama in the parking lot. It's probably going to be some type of scene at the funeral or at the burial. And it's really like a Tyler Perry movie. Then after all of that, the cussing and fussing and hoopla and live streaming and all of that.
Y'all didn't incorporate live streaming and y'all. Go ahead now.
I already told my daughter, you better not. And if we got to collect the devices at the door and I don't want my face on nobody's shirt, none of that.
I said years ago, I'm going to have security in mine. I'm letting you know.
It's just, so that's the culture. And then afterwards, we get tore up. That's just what it is. And then everyone say how we need to do better, how much we love each other, and how we're going to do better. And we make plans, and it's good for a little bit, and then everything goes back to where it is the continual. That's the cycle. That is the cycle. So even right now, I am urging even my older siblings, do you have life insurance? Who has this information? Do you have advance directive? Like, what are we supposed to be doing with your things? And I have these discussions, and they look at me like I'm a foreigner. Example, this is why Kira is different. Get your affairs in order. What are you doing? It's not my responsibility. So that is our culture.
By chance, are you from PG County?
My dad, yeah.
Make a lot of sense. There's something about you PG County folks. Let me just say that. Seriously, every guest that I have from PG County has a different type of. They have respect for the South because Maryland is considered the South. Okay, let's be clear about that. If you want to hold it. But they also have a strong sense of Black wealth and responsibility and culture. And I really do. I catch it so quick. When someone say they're from Maryland, I'm like, if you don't say you're from Baltimore, you're from PG County. So I'm like, or DC, but I'm like, and I just see that pattern of make sure they're taking care of the future and contingency planning for the family as well. So thank you, seriously.
Yeah.
It could just I ain't talking about my family today. We thank you. I'm gonna make sure to send this to them though.
You asked when did your first responsibility? I have been labeled the responsible one. And it's by default. I was groomed to be the responsible one. And everyone's like, oh, just give it to Kira. I didn't sign up. No, I don't want that. I don't want it. I don't want it. Give it back. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. It's not my problem.
You got to make me pause this show so we can talk. You know, I ain't like there's a whole other thing. There is a legit topic right there of being, and that goes into what I want to talk about in the future, because it is exhausting being a child and being more responsible than some adults. You know, being that older big cousin sometimes, you know. And I know my family that's listening to this. I love y'all. I know I do. But damn it, it takes a toll. I don't have all these gray hairs in my beard being 36, okay? Like but this ain't about me. This is about like get proud of.
Culture is the culture. These are the invisible threads that have been passed down. It's in the fabric of a lot of African American culture. It is, and that is what I am determined to break away from. I do not want it. The burden is heavy and the reward does not match. It's ghetto, 1-star, do not recommend, don't want it, will not subscribe to it, and do not care that you're upset because I have checked out. I'm leaving the US. Everybody, I got them on notice. I have a plan. I have met with my financial advisor. I am leaving. I don't know what y'all gonna do.
I cannot talk the way I want to talk right now because this is your show. But hey, I hear you. When I tell you I hear you, we gonna keep it going because we can get into it, but we gonna hold that right there. So much right there. Who do you trust?
I trust everybody to be themselves.
Okay.
I think trust is ruined by expectations. So I can only trust you to be you. Where I go wrong is I expect you to do more because I am me.
And that would be your fault.
And it is. So when it plays out and I'm sitting there with egg on my face and you think about it and I think about it, they are just being themselves. They remain true to who they were. So I trust everybody. I trust you to be yourself. It's up to me to use the wisdom and discernment to monitor and adjust and act accordingly.
Love it. Okay, I'm going to extend this question. You have a biopic coming up.
Mm-hmm.
What 3 people would you want? 3 actors. Can't be you. Can't be other people. Who would play you and who would play 2 other people? Who would you pick? Who would be the people that you would have in your biopic to show? And what actor or actresses would you have play them?
Okay.
First start, who would play you?
Only reason I'm gonna say Takara, what's her last name? Jones, American Top Model girl, but she's like bustier. I don't have that, so they'd be like, y'all lying, they ain't here. But people say we look alike, so I would choose her. And I don't think she gets enough credit, right? So I would choose her. The other 2 people, and I don't know this actor's name, and I should. It would be my younger brother. Right, that would be the other person in my pick because he plays a huge part of my life. And the dude that played Lil Murder on P-Valley, like Lil Murder would be my brother. That is my brother. Okay. Like real talk, okay? With the exception of my brother's stay. My brother is 36. He has spent 24 of his years in juvenile jail or prison. He in jail right now, about to go back to prison. Okay, but everything that you see on P-Valley, Lil Murder, that's my brother. Okay?
I've never watched P-Valley, but I'm sure a lot of people listening to this may have watched P-Valley. Okay?
So they know. So just all of it. Anyway, he just trains me. He just always into something. And I would have my dad, and it would be TD Jakes. And they kind of look alike.
All right. I see it. You put it together. What network would it be? Would it be into the theaters or would it go straight to a network?
It would go to like a network or an app or something.
Okay. What network would it go to? Where would you want to watch your biopic on?
We got to do like, you know what? I was going to say BET Plus, but Lifetime's been giving a lot of Black content lately. I don't know what's up with them. Lately, they have changed. So if you look at them now, they have a lot of stuff for the Black community. I don't know who's in charge over there, but shout out to y'all.
This is not a sponsored
podcast. Yeah. My bad.
Now, if Lifetime, we can work something out. We can make this, the same.
My bad, I forgot.
We will tag y'all. What you said, that was a good little plug we did for y'all. Thank you, Kira. Thank you. Everything culture. And Moms and Martinis. Okay.
Yes.
All right. If you could have any job in the world, anything you could do, like basically money was not an issue. You was wealthy beyond means, but you had to do one thing. What would you do?
I would start a nonprofit for survivors of domestic violence and provide them everything they need for workforce readiness and building life after. And that would include mental and emotional resources, health benefits, housing, all of the things that would get them established for life after. That's what I would do.
Love it. When was the last time you cried?
I think, today, because my boss, his last day is Friday, and we had a going-away luncheon, and he is a gay Black man, senior vice president. No one else looks like him. So the one person that looked like me is leaving. So it's just a sad moment, sad. And he became not only a boss, but a mentor and a friend. Like, he's an amazing person, amazing human being. And he's done a lot. But I'm honored that he's passed the torch to me and trust me that I'll do it. But I'm like, this big shoes to fill, but I did shed some tears.
Love it. I'm hit. Everything culture, we big in DEI. Me being a recruitment. That's why I'm like, hey, that comment you made right there, the only person that looked like me means a whole lot. Okay. Thank you for sharing. So, you got 2 options. Mm-hmm. Would you rather go back in time and talk to your younger self, or your future self come and talk to you now?
My future self come talk to me now, because I have a lot of anxiety about what the future is. I don't question whether or not I'll be okay. That's not a question. I don't want to go back and talk to my younger self, because hell, I'm here. I've made it here to this point. I figured it out, and I needed all of those experiences, good, bad, indifferent, whatever it is, to help me be here. But I would love to hear from my future self to inspire me to keep going, because like I say, I'm tired, right? And I heard this woman say, she said, I'm the type of tired that sleep can't fix. I'm tired.
See, you already listened to the makings of you before, so the next question is, how do you relax?
Oh, I relax a number of ways. I relax by music, right? Dark room, music playing, just in the zone. I've curated multiple playlists depending on the mood to get me where I need to be. Okay, that's a skill. And I relax by what I call back porch pimping. I love outdoors, so I have a screened-in back porch with the string lights. I get my music going out there with a cigar and some cognac, in the zone. Okay. I relax by reading sometimes, because it allows me to escape the reality. I can go anywhere from the comfort of my home through books, and I can get away. That's relaxing to me. I relax by hiking, right? Moving my body, getting out with nature. I relax through traveling, right? I know these say, I guess you call this active rest, right? But it allows me to have a freedom, because that's why I work so hard to afford myself these particular freedoms. So that's just it. But yeah, relax. I have learned, I told somebody this a couple weeks ago. I have been delivered from feeling guilty about doing nothing. I prioritize it now. I schedule one day a week that I do nothing. I sit on my bed and chuckle at TikTok all day, and I may order a DoorDash. And when I say I do nothing, I do nothing. That email is going to be there. That assignment is going to be there. Them dishes are going to be there. The kids, they yelling, they screaming, they all right. Nobody's dead. Nobody's bleeding. So we're good. And when I say I do nothing, do nothing. And it took me a long time to learn how to do that. I don't be doing nothing. Sit right on in my bed. That's when most of my TikToks, y'all look, I'm in the bed. Because I ain't doing nothing. And don't plan on it. And don't feel bad.
And good. And we appreciate that heavily. Love it. What is a quote that you live by?
I have a few. But life is 10% what happens to you and 90% of how you respond to it. So Charles R. Swindoll is probably the main one.
Look at you, even know who the quote is from. I mean, I gotta ask you to follow up. Thank you. Yeah. My favorite question. Is she a coup de grace? Your last meal.
Mm-hmm.
What would it be, and who would prepare it for you?
No, I love food. Okay, that's my problem. I've earned my chin, baby. I love some food. And I love good food. It doesn't matter. And when I'm on my healthy kick, it doesn't matter if the food is good, it's good. So if it's my last meal, I think I would want the best of the best chef from every culture, all food. I just want to sample in like a grazing table of just all of the things, and let me dibble and dabble and just nibble on everything, and give me all of the wines and the champagne. Just let me experience it all. I just want everything. So give me the best of the best from every country around the world, and just let me go in.
Love it. See, that's what I've been doing. I've been trying to listen to all y'all, and I'm on all my guest that's been on my show, whatever they last meal was, I want to bet what they having right there, you know. Mm-hmm. But I got to make sure. So you went to the chef route. I got to make sure if they people can cook too. So that's my next thing. But that's another thing. That's another thing. Okay. How would you want people to remember you?
I would want people to remember me as someone who saw them. Like I see you. And I want them to remember me as someone who cared and listened to them and aided them how I could. I want them to remember me as someone who was kind and empathetic and resourceful and present with them. That's how I want to be remembered, that I was present.
Love that. Love that. 2 more questions. You knock it out. I love it. What are you doing differently than your parents?
So many. The number one thing I'm doing different than my parents is I'm actually living my life. I'm living my life. My mom, as I mentioned, passed in 97, but before she passed, a couple of years before she passed, she had a stroke. And I remember her, even before she had the stroke, I told you how she started dating. My mom didn't date for like 10 years waiting for my dad. Like nothing. And then when she finally started to date, good old Joe, she gets sick. Joe is gone, right? And he moves on in his life. But I remember her waking up out of that stroke and she was asking for her husband. And we're like, you're not married. And she's like, I have all these kids and I don't have anybody to love me. That stuck with me. That you didn't live your life for 10 years waiting for somebody. That stuck with me. And then with my dad, because my dad has been a step parent to so many children and raised children the majority of his life. I remember when he retired for the second time in his late 60s, he finally went on a cruise with my stepmother. He was like, I finally get to do what I want to do in life. Sir, no, sir. And then I even talked to him last week because I'm just like, Dad, I'm just ready to go. I'm on a borderline, just selling my house and just, if I trust the kids' dad, I would just leave them with their dad and just go. I just want to be, because I went from being somebody's daughter to somebody's mother at 19. Then I was somebody's wife at 23. I just want to be me. So I have learned to live my life. But even in talking to my dad, he was like, well, when you're youngest, you got about 8 more years before you can. No, I don't. I'm not waiting another 8 years. Are you crazy? With Carl Jung, and I might get this quote wrong, but he says the greatest burden a child has is the unlived dreams of their parent, or something like that. That's the worst thing you can do to a child. So what I'm doing different than my parents is I live my life. I live it wholeheartedly. I make all the mistakes. I talk to my kids about it. They see me do the things. And that's what I'm going to do. My parents, I don't think they really live like that. I'm living. And I'm going to have a good time doing it.
Before I get to the last question, I got to say this. I usually struggle sometimes. Sometimes I don't struggle at all. I'll take that back. Let's go with my snippet to the intro of the episode. I'm going to struggle with this one. Let me tell you that. You done hit us with so many. What does what's that app called? Clubhouse? So many gems has been said. Get the clapping emojis and all that. But this has been an absolute pleasure, seriously, Kira. And I'm glad that we made this happen. This has been an absolute honor. Thank you. But our last question is, what changes do you want to see in your culture?
Ooh. Ooh, that's a tough one there. The changes I want to see in my culture is for my culture to realize just how great they are. Just how powerful they are. I would love to see more unity, more education, more empowerment, more pride. That's what I would want to see. And respect from others for the contribution of my culture. You know,
I
that's what
know.
I want to see. That's what I really want to see.
Absolutely. Love it. So, Kira, you have made it through the makings of Kira. Thank you. Oh, we did it. You did. You did. This is you. Okay. But of course, this is the time to shout yourself out. If you are trying to be found, and if the people is looking for you, where can they find you?
These streets, not just like. But I do want to first say thank you so very much for having me on Everythang Culture. I really admire from afar. So to have the opportunity to share the platform, I do not take it lightly. So Black man, you are seen, you are heard, you are valued, you are needed. I appreciate you. Continue to do the great work that you are doing. So shout out to you. Okay.
Hey, thank you. That means a lot. Seriously. A great bit. Thank you.
Big ups. But if you want to find me, I am Kira, the host, the mom, and creator of Moms and Martinis. You can find me on Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok at Moms and Martinis, and on Instagrams at Moms and Martinis Pod. So that's where I'm at. Check me out. The podcast is in hiatus, i.e. retirement. We don't know what we're going to do with that. Grad school has me in the chokehold right now. But we shall see. But I have been thinking a lot about it, and I think this was definitely the awakening. So you're about to make me unleash the beast. Somehow I'm back.
Hey, if y'all hear what y'all have heard, y'all listening to what y'all have been able to hear so far, like this is a show that y'all want to check out. This is a personality to follow. I'm impressed. Once again, just the conversations and don't get me wrong, she has a wild side to it too. A little bit of it, because it was some questions I asked. I'm like, wait a minute. Like, I don't know which way she was going to hit this one, but you see how she was so poised, calm, and collective. But she has a great perspective on her show, on her platform, as well as when she steps out, she makes sure she don't have to speak loudly to be known in the room. Let me tell y'all that. And that's something greatly appreciated. Once again, when I say get on my level, Kira is there already. You know, it's like, hey, we say what's up when we meet each other. You feel me? So I greatly appreciate you being here once again. And once again, take your time. If you do an episode every 2 months or quarterly, hey, that's a blessing. You know, that's when you're feeding people. You know, because you got so much what you're doing, but people need to hear you. So that's what we greatly appreciate you being here on the makings of Kira with Everything Culture. We greatly appreciate it once again. But you know, y'all know how to find us. Y'all can find us anywhere you listen to a podcast at Everything Culture, the podcast for all cultures, the podcast with a purpose. You can type us up in Google. You can go to our website at everythingculture.com. We're on TikTok. We're on Twitter. We're on Facebook. We're on Tumblr. We're on Pinterest. We're on IG. We're on Spotify. We're on YouTube. We're on Apple Podcasts. We're on Audible. I don't know if I said it already. We're on iHeart Music. Anywhere. I'm telling you, we out here. But we greatly appreciate y'all listening and supporting. New episodes coming out very soon for season 4. But we love y'all. Appreciate y'all. And God bless. Peace.